Hi, John.
Hi there.
The question that just came to me just now was about how to use moments of difficulty as an opportunity for growth or awakening. I've been experiencing more difficulty recently, and I've been practicing for a while. I'm an MBSR teacher. There's been a lot of fear coming up, waking up at odd hours, and I think fear of my own death. I'm a doctor too, and so I'm working in a hospital. I have to go in some days. Fear of losing my family members and elders, especially.
Mm. Well, thank you. Thank you for being out there on the front lines. Thank you for what it is that you're doing. And thank you from all of us who can't be out there on the front lines because of we don't have the right skill sets or whatever. And just also to acknowledge that in doing that, people have been using the war metaphor that you're out there on the front lines of the war, and they're like casualties of war on the front lines. And so it's totally natural that you would be, highly concerned about, your children and your parents or your family members or whatever. And of course, so the key thing here is, and it's not like I want to pretend that there's some facile answer to what you're saying. This is life. This is the full catastrophe of the human condition. The reason I called it the book that is because Zorba, the Greeks' response to the full catastrophe was to get up and dance in the face of terror, in the face of fear, and just assert, so to speak, that I'm not dead yet. And he would dance those Greek dances on the hilltop. It's just beautiful to watch. Watch the original movie with Anthony Quinn. I mean, it's like transportive. But to come back to your situation, when those kinds of mind states arise, those kinds of thoughts, the fear, the concern, and they're very, very real, then put out the welcome mat for that. Why? Because it's already here as much as the breath sensations. The breath is beautiful, but it's only one small aspect of our human experience. And so when fear, terror, concern for others arises and it wakes you up in the middle of the night, that's not a reason not to practice. That is the practice. That's the curriculum for this moment. And your choices, you can actually challenge yourself to play with in a kind way, an adventurous way. How can I befriend what I most don't want to be in my mind or in my heart at the moment or in my body? How can I be in wise relationship to it? So one way you can do that is to embrace it in awareness, just as we've been doing with the sensory field or with thoughts or emotions. These are more intense thoughts or emotions, and fear for the future and everything else. And remember, we spoke some about don't know mind last week, and like being able to rest in not knowing, and knowing that you don't know is very powerful antidote to that. Another door into that same space is to just ask yourself the question, is my awareness of my fear or these fearful thoughts that are generating catastrophic scenarios or nightmare scenarios, is my awareness of that fear or those thoughts actually fearful right in this moment? And then don't ask your head, ask your heart. Take a look. And I'm willing to bet from my own experience over the years that your awareness is actually not paralyzed by the fear, but it's honoring the fear, it's bowing to it, is recognizing it as legitimate, as authentic, as, totally sane to be having that kind of fear. Of course, you want to get as much sleep as possible because you've got to get back out there. So there's tension, there's wanting it to be different. Why am I bothered by all this? But awareness is capable of holding it all. And so that becomes the practice. And then you've got, the way I describe it, is a kind of a new degree of freedom, or maybe quite a few new degrees of freedom to deal with the fear, the terror, the same old circumstance, the concern for your parents or for the elderly or for your own family or for your own longevity and health and stuff like that. And I think, you know, that's really the heart of the practice. And it always has been. It's not like, oh, we'll now bake this in because we're in a pandemic. That has always been the heart of the practice. And to tell you the truth, if it's not one thing, it's another. So this is a nightmare, but the human condition is just, you know, sort of like littered with nightmares. And the challenge is, how will we be in wise relationship to it? And as I've been saying from the beginning, not lose our minds and our hearts when we most need them to be totally online and available to us in their fullness. Now that's a practice. It's a form of yoga. You work with your own, you know, tension, and you work with your own limitations, so to speak. But it's also a love affair. And I'm very touched that you got to ask this question, because of course it's relevant to probably every single person in this space right now. And I wish you enormous good luck and good fortune in the ongoing adventure and challenges.
Thank you, Jon.